And welcome back to another episode of PC 419. You guys are seeing this on launch day, which is the AMD 5000 series CPU launch. We've currently got the 5600X here at the studio. So by now you guys would have heard about the AMD GPUs being released as well. Really can't wait to get them in the studio, but we've got these a couple of weeks before the launch, so this is obviously a bit far behind at the moment. I really can't wait to see what AMD is like in regarding their 5600X series, because what we were told on this particular CPU, it is mainly for the gaming side of it. So we'll definitely get into the specs, see what it's like around gaming as well. I have benchmarked it with a 2080 Super and an RTX 3080 as well, so you guys will be able to see those benchmarks with this CPU. Really can't wait to see what it's all about, but let's get it going. All right, so let's see what comes in the box with the 5600X. Got your user guide here. We've got the CPU and an AMD Ryzen sticker as well, Ryzen 5 sticker. Now this is AM4 supported, but unfortunately only supports B550 or X570 motherboards. Now there has been rumors that they will have support for X470, but we'll have to find that out a bit later on dates. Because apparently they said they might have some motherboards that actually might be compatible, and there'll be future BIOS updates for that as well. I just want to see what sort of cooler it actually comes with. So it does come with the Stealth cooler. I thought it'd come with the Wraith cooler, to be honest, but no, it doesn't. So it just comes with the Stealth cooler. Don't think none of this actually lights up. So there's no RGB or lighting on this cooler. Obviously, being Stealth means black, means no color. So there you go there. So that's the actual cooler itself. It has got its own thermal paste on here already, which I might just put this back on again. Now, I will not be using the Stealth cooler for its tests. I will be using an all-in-one. So I'm using MSI's 360mm rad on this test, and it has been tested on the AORUS X570, the AORUS X570 Master motherboard. So we have got a BIOS update for that to suit the 5600X or the 5000 series CPUs. So we're plugging all this in and see what it's all about. We'll be also checking out what the obviously frequencies are, TDP and so forth, and we'll keep going from there. But I think what we might do now is check out some of the specs and let's see what it's all about. Now the CPU is comparing to Intel's 10600K, so this is a 65 watt TDP CPU. So we'll be benchmarking this on our test bench with the X570 AORUS Master motherboard, and we'll be benchmarking it with a RTX 3080 as well as an RTX 2080 Super. The reason why I chose those two GPUs or those two graphics cards particularly, one is the latest version, and also the 2080 Super is probably the most current that I could see so far that a lot of people do currently have, from 2080, 2080 Super, 2080 Ti. Then you got your 2060s and 2070s as well. But I wanted to benchmark this with a previous generation 2080 Super as well as a 3080. So best thing is we'll grab all this, slap it into the test bench, and check out those benchmarks. Okay, so we'll be talking about between Zen 2 and Zen 3, what changes they've made. So they have changed the architecture of the die itself. Now, basically what they're trying to do is giving you more CPU power and more frequency as well, by keeping obviously the TDP and TJ max to a certain level compared to each CPU. Now, as you can see here, the SoC block diagram reveals that the substantial difference between the core and cache arrangements between Zen 2 and Zen 3 microarchitectures. So they have done, even though they're still 7 nanometer, they have actually changed the way internally what the actual die looks like, rearranging the CPU cores as well, and giving you better performance with the Zen 3. What also they have changed as well is the CCD to the CID. Now this allowing us to give you more of a cycle rate, as well as giving you better frequency and obviously better frequency and better RAM management regarding to your memory from the CPU to the memory modules. What I've also done here is particularly, we're talking about cooling now. So cooling on a 65 watt TDP CPU, which is the 5600X, does go up to 95 degrees. So anything above 95 degrees, obviously your CPU frequency will drop down further from that. But with anything I say in regard to here, obviously with CPUs, doesn't matter if it's Intel or AMD, having the right cooler to suit your needs, what you do currently, if it's just gaming, if it's video editing and so forth, you must have a good cooler on there. I always recommend having an IOO, but if you don't have one there, the stealth cooler will probably suit it enough, but maybe a Wraith cooler that actually doesn't come with this one, but actually purchasing a Wraith cooler or a better air cooler to keep this CPU at its at proper wattage. So to reaching up to 95 degrees is obviously going to be normal, but you want to make sure that you are between that 60 to 75 degree range. And what are your thoughts on those benchmarks? Obviously with the 2080 Super and the 3080 as well, I've got to say that AMD have really have really configured the CPU for the gamer itself. I had no problems doing this, and those benchmarks were at 1440p as well. So I know when we had a sort of a really high-end graphics cards on both systems when we've done our testing, but this is set for gaming as well. So for $299 CPU, USD CPU, now I've got to say AMD have done a really good job into the market now with the 5600X directly doing this for gaming. Now you will be able to stream with this as well. It is a 6-core. It will handle some streaming as well. So 1080p streaming, I think it should be fine. We did some tests as well, which it did pass and was okay. But you're sort of obviously on the borderline at the start of the doing your streaming and gaming at the same time. I probably would recommend going to a higher CPU if you are going to be doing streaming. So 57, 58, even 5900X, even 5950X if you are able to get one. But I was going to say, as a start off, if you are just going to get into gaming and obviously do as much as you can of this, a 6-core CPU would handle it very, very well. But guys, what do you think of the AMD 5000 series, especially the 5600X? Were you impressed with those benchmarks? Let us know in the comments below. I want to thank AMD for sending out the 5600X CPU as well to the PC419 studio and allowing us to do a launch date CPU, which has been fantastic for myself. Loving it, having those embargoes on there and actually putting the CPU into its benchmarks before anyone gets released. So that was actually really great fun from my side. But guys, like I said, let me know what you think in the description below. I have all the links for this, where they can be purchased from as well in Australia. Anywhere around the world, you have to go to your own local retail stores or your online stores as well. But guys, thanks once again for joining in, and guess what? I'll see you next time.